Yesterday class. Hello.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Yeah, any doubts regarding that yesterday class?
No, sir.
Okay. So now today we'll discuss on the version control systems, or like we have source code management tools. So we have version control systems or source code management tools. So what are the tools we have in those is, so we have the Git and GitHub is the leader, but prior to that we have CVS, or we have VSS, or SVN, or maybe TFS we have. Okay, so CVS stands for Concurrent Versioning System, VSS Visual Safe Source, SVN Subversioning, TFS Team Foundation Server. These are the very old kind of version control tools, but currently we have Git and GitHub. Okay. So in another way, how we can differentiate these two is, another way how we can differentiate these two is, say if you go for the version control tools, we have two types. One is centralized version control tools, centralized version control tools, and distributed version control tools. Say centralized version control tools and distributed version control tools. Okay, say Git and GitHub. Can you tell me to which version control tool it will come?
Version control system.
Yeah,
Version
say
control.
either centralized or distributed.
Centralized.
No, it's a distributed version control system. Okay, so prior to this, we have centralized version control systems. Okay, that means every code has been we are keeping in a central repository, and from there itself we used to use. But today we have the distributed version control systems. Okay, Git and GitHub, say suppose here CVS, SVN, all those comes under centralized version control systems. Okay, whereas Git comes under
Distributed version.
distributed. That means the complete code has been distributed to all the people. Previously, we are going to keep the code centrally, and everyone will take only one file, or maybe some files only they'll take, not the complete code. But today we have lot of license kind of constraints. Even if anyone use the code also, we can track them. Okay, so that is the purpose. Even if you use the distributed version control tool also, we are going to get the security. Previously, like maybe 15 years back, 20 years back, people used to have a lot of concerns regarding the code security. If that code goes to even to their own developers also, they're scared to distribute the code. But today we have lot of like code identification kind of tools we have. Even if someone copy our code also, or if someone copy our patents also, they can easily identify. Okay, so and we have a lot of advantages to use the distributed version control systems, but even we'll keep our own private code. We don't share to anyone. Say, I have got one news, maybe Twitter code completely came into GitHub repo, but even others can't use directly that one. Are you able to understand? Even if the code is available, also there would be a lot of legal issues. Okay, so but as it is keep it distributed version control, meaning is no one will see it. But to all our developers, the complete code has been copied to their missions. Okay, to that would be copied to all their missions. Okay.
And
Uh,
no, they
Yep.
are they are keeping this code into Git means it is like
Locally,
centralized.
they are going to keep the Git, and centrally we have a GitHub.
Okay, okay.
Every
GitHub.
developer will keep Git in the local machine in their laptop.
Okay. GitHub is like
It's a
a
central repo
centralized one.
kind of thing.
Okay, from there to they are pulling that
All
code.
there, yeah, everyone will pull, push those kind of operations. Hence, the
Okay,
basic operations we need to know very well about Git.
okay.
Okay, so now here we need to say, suppose what is that in the Git, what we need to learn is say just a small installer apt install Git or m install Git. If you go Git, automatically will have like mostly in any of the AWS instances already we have the Git. On Windows we can use Git bash. So we can download the Git bash, and Windows also we can use the Git kind of tools. Or Git desktop also is available, some tools. Okay, those we need to install on the those tools we need to install on the Windows also. Otherwise, okay. So now we can create our project. Okay. So what is the project we can create is either from scratch we can create, or we can use existing project also. So here we have two options: Git init, Git to clone. Can you tell me the difference? What is the difference between Git init and Git to clone?
Clone is copying from
Yeah,
existing to
already existing project, we can do our own changes.
Git intimate. It is from initial stage
Yeah,
to
from the scratch we need to scratch. Okay, so Git init is so only for the dummy project it is going to create. Then once you Git initialized, it's going to become a, normally that is a folder itself till that. Now it will become a Git repo. With the Git repository, what is the advantage is multiple versions of the code we can keep. Multiple versions of the code we can keep in the repository. That is not possible in the folders. We need to go for more folders we need to go. But here if we go for this, only in the same repository we can maintain the multiple versions of the code. It's just a small pointers kind of thing. It's just a small pointer kind of thing, and we can maintain the multiple versions of the code. Okay, so then once we got that folder, we can add the files. So that means I work on the some code kind of thing. I can add the files. Okay, then I'm say here we have three things are there. Try to understand. We are in the Git repo. Then in this we have again three types of options are available, or workspace is available. So now working directory we have. So where we are working. That means if you are in the working directory, those changes have been not added to repository. That means even if you work whatever you want, those have been not added to repository, but still we are doing in the same system itself. Then you can move to staging area, and finally we can move to commit to your repository. So what is the difference between working directory and staging area repository? So when those have been added to the repository, when those files would be added to repository.
it's ready for
Yeah, once all the complete code, you may do lot of changes. All those you may be doing in the working directory itself. I'll tell one example. Say suppose here I created one file, maybe main.jsp something. I written all the Java code, and if it is fine, then I'm going to add that git add main.jsp. Then if I use the git add that file, what's going to happen? Then what's going to happen?
From working directory
From working directory to that file would be added to
staging area.
staging area. Okay, so then once you do this git commit hyphen m, so that is the commit message, adding a main.jsp file. If I do this commit, what's going to happen?
It is committed to
From staging area to repository, it is going to add. That means technically, even if it is in the same directory, it has been added to it has been added to
repository.
now to the repository. That means if you push to the remote repository, then it would be added. Otherwise, if it is in the working directory or in the staging area, it won't push also, because locally developer can work on whatever his ideas he got it, whatever the changes. Once it added to the repository itself, it would be pushed
Yeah, this file is, if you once you committed this file, it is stored in Git or GitHub.
locally in the Git itself. Locally, we are discussing about local Git.
Mm.
Okay, later we can push to later we can push to
GitHub.
GitHub. Okay, locally the developers can work whatever he want to work, he can do it. Finally, he can push to GitHub. Okay, and he is going to work even with the different branches also. Say, I'll tell one branch, maybe production, I have one branch, or maybe staging, I'll have one branch, QA, I'll have one branch, or maybe testing, then dev will have one branch. So like this, we'll have the branches. So first developer will start working on which branch? First developer will start working on which branch?
Development box.
Yeah, development branch. Later that would be promoted to
Testing.
yeah, QA or testing. Later,
Stage environment.
yeah, staging environment. Then finally it would be moved to production. Or in the production, we may have a master branch also. Maybe the production branch itself may be called as master branch. The production branch itself is called as master branch. Okay, so a lot of companies may keep main branch or production branch. Directly doing the changes in the master branch is not possible. Directly doing the changes into the production branches are not recommended. First, anything, okay, on top of dev also, we are going to create different feature branches. Okay, so maybe I want to work on the login feature. Otherwise, I want to work on register feature. I want to work on catalog kind of feature. Okay, I want to work on order kind of feature. Like this, we will create different feature branches. On those feature branches, we are going to work. Okay, so later those feature, every developer will work on his feature branch. Okay, and he will merge it to dev branch. And dev branch we will push to, or maybe feature branch will push to remote branch. Then in the GitHub, I'm explaining high level. In the next classes, I'll show all this. Uh, so locally, we'll do all changes and push to GitHub. In GitHub, we will raise one process called as a pull request. If you raise a pull request, then if you raise a pull request, then then maybe our lead or manager may accept that one, or manager maybe accept that one. Okay, then what's going to happen? If that pull request has been accepted, then only it is going to merge into, then only it is going to merge into our branch. Otherwise, it's not going to accept. Are you able to understand? So what is the advantage of pull request is it's not mandatory. Whatever the code you have written need to be approved. In the GitHub, we'll have two levels of approval mechanisms. That means two people are going to review your code, and we don't have directly permission to push to dev also. Maybe developer managers also need to accept this. Okay, so that is the reason we are going to use a pull request approval kind of process. Okay, so then that would be merged to dev. After dev has been successful, it would be raise a pull request to QA, QA to staging, staging to maybe main branch or production. Are you able to understand? So like this, how we are going to maintain the folder structures. Are you able to understand any doubts on this?
No. Um,
Okay, so finally we need to move to the, so then in this process multiple developers are going to work on that code, and they will be doing sometimes we may get the merge conflicts also. And instead of using the GitHub, some companies may use GitLab, some companies may use Bitbucket, okay, or maybe use the AWS code commit. Anything is almost the same process. Instead of using GitHub, maybe we may be using the different type of code kind of management. And now in the DevOps, from the GitHub or GitLab itself, we can do the CI kind of operations also. That means instead of Jenkins, a lot of companies are using Sorry. Git itself to perform those automation. Okay, so what is the advantage with that? You no need of again a Jenkins kind of tool. Okay, so we no need of a Jenkins kind of tool. Okay, then if you go for the Git, sometimes we may get a Git conflicts also. So how we need to resolve those conflicts, we need to understand. And what is our branching strategy? There would be some rules and strategies between one project to another project. So our company will have the strategy, or our project will have the strategy. In our company, what is the branching strategies we are using also, we need to understand. So those things, so we need to explain, and accordingly we need to work. And if any merge conflicts coming, we need to able to resolve, and we need to configure the branch policies also. And in the GitHub, what we can do is, in the GitHub, we can configure one setting called as webhook. If you set up the webhook kind of configuration, automatically, if any new code commits, it pushes Jenkins pipeline also. What is the concept of webhook? What is the concept of webhook? What is the concept of webhook?
If any new code commits,
Yeah, if
or
any new code commits,
it automatically push to Jenkins pipeline.
automatically that pipeline is going to trigger. Say night to 2 o'clock. That means like in the 2 a.m. if you got any new code, the DevOps guy no need to wait to run the pipeline. Automatically that pipeline is going to be automatically that pipeline is going to be
Full
automatically is going to be triggered. No need to do it manually. No need to do it manually. We no need to do it. Okay, and once you connect to the instance, just type git and check all the commands. All the commands are maybe in the interview they are going to ask you. Then what are the next steps we are going to ask is like here create one account in GitHub also. So create one account in GitHub. Okay, and check all the Git commands. How can we check? Just you type Git, you will get all the commands. Write down all those commands and create one account in the GitHub. Okay, say with your username and password with your email ID. You can create the you can create the account. Okay, so in the same way you can create an account in GitLab also or Bitbucket also. Okay, so those all we can use it. Then so we need to able to tell what is our Git branching strategy. So locally we'll work on which branches, and the important branches. No one will work on the local branches. Locally they don't work. On what branches they will work? Locally they will work on what? Locally they will work on the feature branches itself. They can do any changes in the feature branches, but directly they can't upload to the main branches. What they need to do? They need to raise a pull request itself. They need to raise a pull request. In the pull request, our company will have 2 or 3 minimal approval mechanisms. First, who is going to review is a peer review would be there. What is the meaning of peer review? In the peer review, the first person who like written the similar kind of position. That means if I am a software engineer, another software engineer will check. If it is a senior software engineer, maybe another senior software engineer will check it. Okay, so like this, after senior software engineer, who will verify that code? Maybe lead or manager will approve, and he is going to, if he like the code, then only he is going to commit it. Otherwise,
They will reject.
yeah, it would be rejected. Again, we need to work on those. Again, need to push it. Again, raise a pull request. Okay. So what is the advantage with this is everyone will have a control over the what are the changes has been performed. And if we don't like also we can revert back also. Okay. If any code changes has been performed, we'll have a tracking and auditing is there and everything we can review. We can have a license kind of things also we can configure. So that's the purpose Git and GitHub has been increasing the popularity. Now, any idea who acquired GitHub? Who acquired GitHub? Say GitHub has been acquired by Microsoft now. Okay, and Microsoft is integrating even with Azure DevOps also. They're integrating with the GitHub. Okay, here one term or one process is getting more popular called as GitOps. Means you no need to do the DevOps operations normally from Jenkins, not like that. Everything we can do from the Git itself nowadays, especially the CI kind of operations. Lot of companies are moving like this also instead of Jenkins. But we can tell we are using Jenkins itself for CI/CD.
So in next future, Jenkins will be
Yeah, maybe instead of Jenkins also we may use directly GitOps itself. From the Git itself we can perform. Okay. So then we'll discuss one more concept is there called as branches. In the same folder, we discuss the same folder, right? We don't need to create multiple files. The same file is there in the working area, staging area, and even in the repository also. But I want to work with the multiple versions. Then I don't need to create multiple folders. I can work on the branches. Okay, so for dev I want one branch, or maybe for login I want one branch, or maybe 1.1 code is different, 1.2 code is different, 1.3 same login.jsp itself, but that maybe 1.1 code may be different, 1.2 code may be different. Like this, we can work with the multiple branches we are going to work. So we can create the multiple branches and we can work on those multiple feature branches or multiple release branches also. We can work on those. And easily he can work on 1.1 to 1.3. He want to work on a new feature, he can move also. So by creating the branches, we have a command called git branch, like we'll list all the branches, then git to check out, so I want to move to 1.2, or maybe git to check out like 1.3. That means in the same folder I'm working with the multiple branches also I can work. Okay, so that means we are working in the same repository itself, but we are going to work with the multiple branches also. Then how to work with those multiple branches also we need to understand. Then what is git to push and git to pull? So what is the concept of git to push is local to
remote.
remote. Pull is
Pulling
what are
to
the changes we have in that? We have one more difference is that mandatory companies are asking in the interview, fetch versus pull also we'll discuss. So we have get fetch versus pull, people will ask us. Then git merge versus rebase, git reset versus revert. So what are those we'll discuss. Okay. So then we can have a pull and push operations. And what is git to clone? Can you tell me the difference between git to clone and git to pull? What is the difference between git to clone and git to pull?
clone means it is copy entire.
Come again.
The clone means it
A
uh,
clone will remote to locally for the first time you can clone it, but
hmm,
pull will get only the delta it can get it. Each and every time you no need to clone it. For the first time you clone it. Later,
okay. Pull means whatever that
yeah, whatever the delta is there, only those are going to get it.
delta means patching like.
Yeah, what are the changes are there? Instead of again downloading the complete and again it's going to create a repo also, new repo. So instead of that, for the first time, git init and git to clone, what is the difference? Init, if you want to create locally a new project, then go for init. Are you able to understand?
Mm.
So git to clone is from the GitHub repo to. Then we have one more option is there in the GitHub only. We have git to fork. There would be lot of projects in the GitHub. Those are maybe open sources, or maybe another repo is there. From that Git GitHub to GitHub, we can copy by using the fork. GitHub to local. What is Git fork? So already a GitHub repo is there. We decided to use that repo itself, and on top of that, we want to perform the changes. Then first their repo you fork it, but we need to respect their license mechanism. Okay, if that is not a open source, then we need to pay the money for the usage of it. Otherwise, they can go legally. Okay, if already a repo is there, 80% of the work is already then. If it is a normal generic public license, we can use. If it is a commercial one, we need to pay the money. Are you able to understand?
Yes.
Okay, says git fork and git clone. We need to perform these operations. Normally, how a project will start is first already maybe in our company we may have a git project. We will fork it locally. Everyone will clone it. Then work on the feature branches. Then they're going to push the code to remote. Will raise a pull request. Then accept or reject. If it is accepted and finalize all those things, then again raise a pull request to QA. Again, if it is accepted, raise a pull request to staging. Then finally, that would be moved to production. So, like this, our branching strategy we need to manage. And for the production, we'll have even more approvals also. Maybe QA manager need to approve, may test manager and the client also may need to approve. Then only we are going to commit that. Okay. Yeah. Any doubts on this? So these all the steps every day we are going to use in the project. So how to do this? We need to understand. Yeah. Any doubts on this?
Mhm.
Okay. Till this, just go through once. Okay. I'll share some GitHub videos also. Those also finish once.
Okay, sir.
Okay. I'll share some GitHub videos. And in that, all the steps we have, those all practice ones. And create a GitHub account. Instead of GitHub in AWS, what you can do? Instead of GitHub, what we can use in AWS? We can use AWS
Mhm.
code commit.
Mhm.
AWS code commit. Okay. Sure. I'll share these videos based on that.
In Azure also, we are having
Yeah,
Azure
Azure
repo.
repos. Azure repos is nothing but GitHub only.
Yeah,
They acquired GitHub, right? They rename or maybe that same version of code they use in Azure repos.
yeah.
I'll share some videos, finish all those by this weekend, okay? So Git,
Okay, sir.
practically everyone need to do some basic operations. No need to be experts, but at least basic operations we need to perform. Otherwise, we can't work in the job. Okay?
Okay.
Sure.